Good evening, everyone. So glad to see you. So glad to be here. Welcome back to Alpha to Omega, Conversations for a New Earth with Matt and Alyssa. How you feeling tonight, Alyssa?
I'm super excited. I've been getting ready for this all week. It's just Sacral has been just in my world, and I've been trying to just digest it and learn. And it's been a whirlwind, and I love it.
Yeah. This might be the first time we've had two comments before we even said anything. Angie, Brian, so great to see you. So glad to have you with us. Sacral's a deep one. So quick recap, we were inspired by comments and some channeling from Melissa in an early episode to do a treasure in the trauma series within our conversations. And we started at the bottom. So last week we went through the root, tending to our roots, and what was the core truth from our root session last week. There was just a few words into truth. What was it again?
I don't know if it's what you're talking.
You're on mute, I think. We'll bring the mute back online, but I believe it was I belong to myself. Is that right?
Have you not heard me the whole time?
It did a quick little echo and then disappeared, but I believe it was I belong to myself. Is that?
Yes.
Is that where we
and myself belongs to love. Yes.
And myself belongs to love. So I think a lot of times when we talk about chakras, we're like up here. It's like third eye, crown, maybe a little voice and heart. And I think that's kind of where we've lived as society for the little kind of yoga revolution the last 20 years. But what we found in our 4 or 5 years talking about this is like the lower chakras get left behind, and they're kind of left with all the sludge that sinks to the bottom. So we started at the root. I felt so good. It was so deep. We had such a great discussion, and we're so excited to go through chakra 2, which is sacral. Yes. So I'll just give a quick background of some of the things that I learned and felt about sacral. Alyssa mentioned that we've been preparing for this. We've gone pretty deep. So sacral, our word for sacral, really isn't used that much. I don't know if any of you kind of use sacral in your normal day-to-day vocabulary, and I think there's a reason behind it, which we'll get to. So sacral comes from Latin, like so much of our language, sacer, S-A-C-E-R, sacer. Same word that sacred comes from. Now, sacred, a little bit more usage, right? Most of us probably say sacred. But sacer or sacred actually correspond to a body part in the base of your spine, which is your sacrum. So you actually, Brian will probably know this. He's our neuromuscular skeletal genius. So Brian, chime in if there's any little nugget that you may know about this too. But the sacrum is a upside down triangle shaped bone at the base of your spine that is actually the cradle of the womb. So super interesting. And in ancient Greek Roman times, a couple thousand years ago, that bone was believed to never decompose. So it was cherished. It would be in temples and different rituals as a tribute to mother, to life, to eternity, and all these powers of procreation and joy and love and life that are housed deep within us in that sacral region. So over time, sacrum got replaced with private. So instead of sacral center, it's more like private parts. And I think that distinction is really important for us to draw. So for us in our home, learning that, it's okay, that's our sacral center. That's our sacral area. Private parts just dilutes it and separates it from ourselves. So we felt and you can go a lot of directions with that. There's the idea of the chalice or the Holy Grail or the cup of eternal life or fountain of youth. I believe you could probably trace a lot of that back to this idea of sacrum, which actually lives within you, and that eternal essence of you has been there all along. So it's not separate, not something you need to hunt down or chase for. What does that bring up for you? That's just sort of the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I remember that this week, and it was when you told me that, and when you really hold those two things at the same time, privates or your sacreds, there's a very different energy associated with it. And so when we were we need to, instead of saying that's your privates, saying those are your sacred parts, those are so sacred, it's more oh, what are they sacred about? What do I get to empower my, there's a totally different vibe, because, and I don't know if it's just me, but when I was younger, it was that's your privates. It was it's something hidden and to be shameful for, and nobody else should see or talk about. It was a kind of a nasty part. But if it's sacred, that was a very different energy. So I love shifting that whole energy about sexuality and self and moving it towards like sacredness, like holy and beautiful. And the main thing is like your sovereignty in that holy place, and that it's yours and it belongs to you, and nobody else can tell you, you know, how that's supposed to be. But then we can get into how, you know, that can then affect other people and why you have to be aware of it. And that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, moving from privacies to your sacreds was like a really amazing idea. And I love that idea.
Yeah, it resonates. And that's what these conversations are all about, is shifting the narrative from all these things that are outside you that you've got to go learn and memorize and be good enough for and all that, to finding it all within you. And so as we bring this sacral chakra back online, and it's funny how often the word sacred is going to come up tonight. I know it will. I can just feel it. So, and Alyssa's brought in this other idea, which is balance, which I think as we go through sacral, the idea of balancing, you feeling good and all that around you will come up a lot. So very excited to dive into it. But first, I was so inspired by that beautiful poem that you synthesized and put together for this evening. And I don't know if it was in the plan to read the whole thing or just reference it, but I would love to kind of bring it in as a great place to kick off this sacred conversation. Would you be up for me or you giving it a little read?
Yeah, well, this week I get the best inspiration and channel through poetry. So there was 2 different poems that came through this week. Which one are you talking about? Do you want me to read?
I think one was
at the beginning and one at the end, kind of like last time.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I know the ending is a little bit more where we'll end up, so that would be really cool to do the beginning one first.
Okay, let me open it.
Oh, we have Cassandra too. So good to see you, Cassandra. I've got to put this up because it's hard to say how much that resonated with us. It's like, if these are your private parts, I can shame you for them. If you ever like talk about them, that's private, don't bring that up. But if they're sacred, then it's like, wow, I have something sacred. That's so cool. How can I learn to, honor them?
And it's about being like, that's so special. Like, you just hold a specialness about it versus something that's secret or sacred. Like, there's a very different vibe. So I'm glad she can feel that too.
Yeah.
It's not just us.
Yeah, and please feel free. Any ideas, thoughts, comments, questions, anything related, or maybe that just kind of pops in that doesn't seem related, please put it on. There's no such thing as a invaluable thought or notion or inkling when it comes to these conversations. So thank you so much for sharing. But as you were saying.
Yes. So the first one, if you want me to just dive in, and so I became, I feel like it's the best place to start. What was that?
Okay. I was just making sure I'm on the same page as you. Yes.
Okay. Let's settle in. I'm excited, so hopefully I can actually read without stumbling. But
if you ever need
a
happy to sub in if you need to pass the baton.
Okay. All right. So I became. As my life began deep in the womb, my mother's love turned stillness to bloom. She whispered to spirit, and spirit came through. The magic of one soon became 2. And so I arrived, not broken, but new. Before I could speak, I was rhythm made real. Before I knew words, I would trust all I feel. And I entered this world with my hands open wide, no shame in my joy and no reason to hide. I moved when I wanted. I cried when I pleased. I reached for the light with no need to appease. I laughed from my belly. I pulsed from the deep, and I danced in the current that rocked me to sleep. I didn't yet know that delight could offend. I hadn't been taught that my joy has an end. No voices had carved me with cuts I could keep. No blade made of language to strike at my feet. I was a yes, wrapped in breath and in skin, a sacred beginning before shame could begin. Then came a God with a thunderous claim. The natural man is an enemy to God's name. Your body will tempt, your pleasure deceives, your laughter is evil, your longing misleads. He said, I am he, And he came with a chain, taught joy was rebellion and pleasure was pain. My questions were wrong. True faith was admired. Obey without knowing. Believe, don't inspire. Desire was danger. My hunger, a test. So I strangled my joy and to prove I was blessed. And so I became the girl they adored, devoted and holy, while silently torn. Then came the words, disguised as delight. Your body's not yours, it's your husband's delight. You must wait until marriage, be pure and be restrained. And once you arrive, your body will be chained. You're the piece that completes him, the prize he must take. So give when he asks. If you don't, he might break. Be sexy, be silent, be soft, be sweet. Don't ask for too much. Don't show too much heat. And if he goes seeking a thrill you don't give, they'll say it was you, how you failed him to live. You weren't enough. You weren't awake. You gave him a reason for all he would take. And so I became a vessel on loan, needed, not nurtured, and never my own. And with their sharp words, they divided in half. You're good, you're holy, or you're damned on our path. We heard how they spoke of the broken and lost. Their voices like knives, their judgment the cost. There's only one church and only one that is right. Submit or be cast out and lost from our sight. They must be deceived, overcome by the dark, to leave the one truth and follow their own spark. They pointed their fingers, they cast people aside. Don't get too close, or you'll fall in their tide. If they're not your religion, they'll poison your light. They'll make you question, they'll ruin your sight. Those who had left were erased from the frame, forgotten by friends who once called them by name. They became shadows we'd silently blame, spoken in whispers, but never the same. And so I became a daughter of fear, performing perfection, so I too did not disappear. And then one day I saw, and I finally see, the joy and the pleasure, it was always me. But when one gave birth and two became real, we had to learn balance between want and feel. Not domination, not bending a knee, but dancing with truth and staying free. A joy that's not taken, a joy that's not owned, but shared in a current we've always known. It's sacred, it's equal, it ripples unbroken. A love not demanded, but always fully spoken. And the sacral, she mirrors, she shows what is true, that my joy affects others and theirs affects too. Not to shame what I feel, but to move with care, to know that my fire lives everywhere. And in an ocean so vast, each drop still decides. Each choice is a current that echoes and guides. We are one, yes, but we ripple apart. Each body, each soul, each brave beating heart. So let this be joy. So let this be joy that can look, that can see, that honors itself and still honors the we. Not joy that demands, but joy that invites. Not fire that scorches, but fire that lights. This is the sacral, no longer confined, desire made conscious, pleasure aligned. I am a universe. I am the tide. I am the wave, and I am the guide. I return to my body, my womb, and my flame. I rise in my power, and I call my own name. Feel that one?
impossible not to. And I think that's why, rephrase, I feel that's why these lower chakras are so important, because they can't be deceived. You can't trick a feeling. You can trick a thought, you can trick a mind-based thing. You can't trick a feeling. These feelings feel real. That got a little bit emotional for you. What was that emotion that started welling up?
I don't remember where it started, but it's in my experience. Like, I've lived it. I've lived the pain. I've lived every part that felt not good enough, that felt like my pleasure was somehow like a secondary or just not important. And especially in like a very masculine driven religion and upbringing, it was like we were a piece to what was sacred. We were an aspect that was meant to support the main part, and that without that main part, we're kind of like worthless. And in that believing, it was really hard for me to step into myself and my power, because I was always too big. I was always too much. And in whether it was feelings or expression or whatever it was, it felt like there's just very deep wounds that it awakens in my past that I've worked a lot through, but it's still very real for me.
Mm-hmm. So real. And as you read through it, it's so sad to me, because so many of the things that finally feel clear, even as an adult for me, were not clear to me. The truth was not apparent. And I promulgated, it feels like a word, a lot of false beliefs on those around me. And it hurts really deeply to feel that. And it's powerful and empowering to hear you set those things back in place within you, like these little broken pieces fitting back together. So going back to those, maybe it's childhood or youth, or maybe it's now, what is the purpose of the sacral energy center in our bodies?
Well, it's life. It's the place that we birth new things. It's the creative power to give life to all that you're about to experience. It's the love of the mother that offers you something new. And if we don't realize, like, we are the ones creating what's going to be coming through, right? So this is the place, it's the seed of life, but we're the one to decide what we want to create.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really own that yet. And part of us is our parents deciding for us, and then us growing into our own things. So part of it is kind of handed down, but we did choose, like, coming into our body, into a family. There was parts that were like, okay, like, they are honoring this is what they choose. Do you step into it as a soul? But then it becomes you living through their experience, taking on all their lies, because you come in innocent, forgetting everything. You go through the veil, right? So you become them in whatever ways you're going to have to then alchemize as you bring it back to a state of love and union back with true source and empowerment and sovereignty, which is a lot of work, but it's a journey that's worth taking, or else we wouldn't have taken it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you share that, it resonates deeply, and it feels like it's this super powerful energy life center within us, where literally our blood is crystallizing into sperm in men, eggs in women, and creating life, like infinite life right there within us all the time. But what it feels like you're saying is, like, it's also like a basin that will kind of hold lies, and they'll sort of get stored there. And you and I have felt that. Can you talk to that part just a little bit more?
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Like, because mother, because there is an aspect that has never left, never forgotten, is just holding space to create all different versions, to experience all these things. That's what our sacral is, and that's what it will give us. So it naturally will create for us what we desire, and it'll process the thoughts and then create it for you. So there is no judgment in that. It's just like, okay, you've asked for it, so I create it. But it will hold the lies that we tell ourselves. I'm not enough and I want these things. So it'll create like, let's say there's different seeds, like it's going to create a weed for you, because you're like, now what does that look like? What does that feel like when it comes in full bloom? It'll be awful. It'll choke everything else, and it'll feel prickly, and it'll be painful, and it'll be like, why did this weed come up? What is the point? And until you realize you created it, it's your garden, it's your life, it's your experience mirrored and each other, you realize the soil isn't the problem. The thing that's giving it life isn't the problem. It's what did we try to create? Because we're also like the scientist that literally is going to create the seed that then will be grown. So we have to choose a different thought. We have to choose a different belief. But until we've experienced the weeds of our parents and fully embodied it and realized this is not right, this feels wrong, and then break it down to why did we choose this and why did they choose it, and like get down to the core, we can't really truly alchemize that for ourselves and for our ancestral lines that haven't ever figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't be there if they had, right? If they had awakened, that would have been the mother or the father that would have then taught us something different. And yeah, we would still have whatever junk's on the other side of it. But when we change it, we're changing it not only for our future children's children, but also for our mother's mother's mother and our father's father and everywhere in between. So yes, it can hold the lies, but it's not holding the lies. It's offering what already existed in you, life to be seen, to be experienced, to be felt, to exist with, so you can choose something else. So it's not the problem, the sacral. It's not like, oh, the sacral holds lies. Like, no. The lies exist here.
Right.
That's all. And here in the big field of thoughts and consciousness that hasn't quite awakened. But it then is put into the feminine that then brings life about.
Right. So the sacral, to put this into a visual as what I'm feeling, tell me if this resonates. It's like the sacral is such a powerful creator of life that all sounds, thoughts, experiences kind of like filter through it. And just like the roots go down and kind of become our foundation, the sacral like raises things up and they come to light, literally becomes children if we go down that road. But thoughts, feelings, voice, sight, sound, is that kind of what you're saying, that like all these things sort of filter through these feelings in your sacral and become like the life that forms within you?
I didn't follow entirely what you're saying, but
I'm going real visual here. I don't know.
Okay.
If sounds.
So the sacral is the seed, right? It is the basin for life. So you could put any kind of seed in there and it's going to create it for you. It is the creator, it is the force that drives, that then, like, whether it goes into roots or goes into anything else, it's still the same seed. Yeah, it's going to bear fruit and it's going to be up here in your mind, but it all starts here. It all starts here. That's why birth starts there. That's why life starts there. It's the same example of we all start and then grow and have different separate experiences or like universes within us, but it all originated here as it then divides and multiplies and, you know, grows into all different versions. You know, it started as a seed. It is the seed, but even the seed is still a center point. That's the sacral that then has a branch, has roots, has then leaves, and then those leaves become lots of leaves, and then they bear fruit, right? So does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. It feels like the sacral is the seed that becomes the tree of life that is us. And that tree is a mixture of all the things that we create in our life.
Right. So it truly is the connecting point to everything like that came before the seed. So like the consciousness that creates us, it's tethered to our sacral. So it's like so important to awaken to that power. And it's a very feminine, I don't know if anybody believes this, but when I looked into it and what I channeled, there are actual feminine chakras and there's masculine chakras. And it is a very feminine, it's like a very important basin for connecting back to the creative power, which is the mother energy that we all need to awaken in us and trust. We have to trust it. Trust it's a drive in you. It's something to be pursued. Doesn't mean you pursue it like willy-nilly and pretend like nobody else matters and it's just a selfish thing. It's like, why do I desire this? There's a reason you desire it, and it's a worthy reason, because it's going to, by following it in a respectful and conscientious way, you're going to realize there's something in you that wants to be grown, or something that needs to be understood or be reasoned with. Like, that is such a sacred thing, the desire and the passion and the energy that says, I want, I need, I love, I crave. There's a lot of things there that it's craving or it's wanting because it's been told it's not good enough. It's been told these things, but it's still a worthy pursuit, because as long as you try to do it carefully, you're going to understand yourself better to then create a different seed, like a different thought, a different thing that will then bloom and be better. But being a gardener of yourself and being the one that's creating all these different things, and the scientist that's designing the seeds, and all of that is us in our own life, right? But we haven't taken authority over that part of ourselves. We think it's everybody else, and we're just at the whims. When we truly understand, then what we create, what we feel, what we desire, we can trust, because it's like we're desiring it because there's a part of us we're not aware is creating something that we haven't truly experienced to the end, to learn why we don't want to create that, or what thought began it in the beginning. And so me, like growing up, it was like there came a point where I was like, you know what, the people that have like left the church and done all these wrong things and then came back from that place and realized and settled into themselves, and they were empowered. And I met some people that I'm like, oh my gosh, you're telling me that you like leaving, you doing all the wrong things led you to be this person? Like, why are we trying so hard to make our kids be so perfect and never make a mistake because we're so scared of how that could affect them, when maybe that's the gift? And we're just supposed to hold sacred space to say, okay, well, this is my concern, but it's your choice. And if you do, I'll still love you. But here's what it's their journey to explore that, to be wrong or be right, or maybe they'll prove us right. But we're not meant to judge. We're not meant to control. We're meant to hold space. That started to like awaken me a little bit when I saw people who had done all the wrong things, and they hadn't even left church. Like the first person hadn't. And they had made all these wrong choices. And then they like came back and they were better off because they explored it. They learned their lesson, and then they came, you know what I mean? So like that like contradicted what I had been told all my life, right? They were better for it.
Right.
So is it possible that the mistakes we make are actually blessings? That there's something valuable in just pursuing our nature, pursuing the things that we truly desire. Yeah, if you're going to do that and do it without being aware of how that desire could hurt other people, if you're not just being careful and respectful, you're going to learn a lot of other lessons.
Right.
But there is something about saying, like, I'm not looking to hurt anybody. I'm looking to figure out why I want this so much, and I'm going to do it to the end. There's something so valuable in that.
Yeah.
That I wasn't allowed to pursue.
Yeah, you weren't allowed, and it makes sense that that chakra would be considered a feminine one, because even if we think about it in reverse, let's say it was a masculine one. What has the masculine world done to that chakra? Watered it down, separated it from yourself, diluted it, and made it feel bad. Turned it into a pride.
And made it be like enslaved to others' pleasures and other people, like very much like giving yourself away to the man who is worthy of it, but not necessarily you.
Right. Right.
I mean, I can give like tons of examples of that, like growing up, where it was like, how could this be right? This is so off. Like even with my bishops, I'm like, there is no way that this would be considered love and God's law. Like, how am I less than my partner? How am I? It just didn't resonate.
Yeah, I think I'd like to throw a few comments up because we so appreciate the interaction. We have lots of folks that have joined also on Facebook and Instagram, which we're still kind of figuring out how to use, but it's so great for you to be here. And we'd love to hear anything, where you're from, where you're joining from, what sacred or sacral means to you. If there's a different religious or spiritual connotation or meaning, this idea of sacral and sacred is so deep and so misunderstood and so overlooked that we'd really appreciate any insights or questions that you have. But Angie, thank you so much for sharing your vulnerable truth here, going back to this idea of, shaming and putting someone down and telling them not to feel good. I love this sovereign statement, I could never be ashamed. That is where I manifest from. What a powerful motherly statement. That resonates.
Yeah, that is big. Like, to be able to say that, I could never be ashamed. like you've awakened to that, because coming into this world, no matter what family, it's hard for me to imagine that you didn't have to. And I know you, so I know that you didn't just pop in and just have the perfect family that never shamed you. But like, that is incredible. And I hope that could be true for me someday, because I still feel shame in different things. And I have to be like, where did that come from? And then I like move out of it. But like, that's so great.
Yeah, and it takes us to one of the things we were hoping to do, depending how this evening goes. Like, it's 30 minutes gone. Are you kidding me?
I know. That went so fast.
We were maybe 12 minutes in. So anyway, quantum leap. Here we are back. So going back to the poem and what you just shared, I know there are so many real world experiences. Is there one that you would like to share? If not, we'll totally move to the next. But do you feel like there is? Because I think it's important to call it out. These things that happen that are just passed as like normal. We hear about a lot of them from like show business. Obviously, there's so many terrible travesties that are just sort of commonplace, it sounds like, that are now being called out. But is there something, an experience that you may like to share briefly or in detail, that something was told and you were just like, this can't be right? How are they all telling me this and nodding their heads?
Yeah, there's so many, but like a lot of them are of a sexual nature, and I want to be careful. So let me sit with that for a little bit and see if something just more that's not of that nature pops up that I could share. It's the sacral obviously is all about the desire, and it's about balance. And we haven't really got into the whole balance thing. I'd love to make sure we touch on that. With the sacral, it's where life and creativity is formed. It's the life force that gives birth to whatever it is that the masculine mind has asked for, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like this part that wants to play a role in it and to say, okay, I'm going to offer this to you, and I'm going to hold space, and I'm going to feel for you, and I'm going to give you the consciousness back from your experience, right? So again, the women, the mother, you know, if we like divide ourselves into two forces, and like, yeah, there's so many just mixtures, and we're all just kind of like a piece of the whole puzzle, right? But there's the masculine and the feminine. Let's say like mother God and father God. Let's just put it there for a second. So like these are different universes that are kind of ran by either mother God or father God. So you have the sacral, which is mother, and the roots, which is the father trying to reach back and receive from mother. And then there's the solar that is obviously masculine again, and it's that will to like strive to like, oh, this is what I created, but how can I like interact with my creation, and what can I do to manipulate it and change it in the physical form? And then you go right back to mother, and it's the heart, it's the mirror to then show you, okay, but this is how it feels to do what you've done and to think what you thought. And all these things is the teacher again trying to mirror back to you to learn the lesson that you need to, in order for these two forces to finally be just absolute partners in life. Like the ultimate God self, mother self of all forces, and all the children that are a consciousness of these forces, to finally be balanced and in tandem with like, wow, two forces of huge equality, but now there's two. Because if we believe that it all came from one, then there's a consciousness that knows there's something better. Mm-hmm. And that then leads to the forgetting to create another aspect that forgot. And then now there's like this space between where conversation and family, and you're different than me, and what does that look like? And we've created this whole experience of division, which is all about connection. It's not about division, it's about connection. It's about the talk, it's about the wonder, it's about the awe, and the what would I do if you did that, and how could we figure that out? But you go from mother and the feelings, and then there's this part where it's then masculine again, where it's just like trying to express the experience of everything that has been thought and then felt, and then okay, well then this is how I feel about what I just created, and this is what I think about what I'm about to come up with next time. So there's this part that finally can do it. And then you go back in, and there's
quick time out. It would be completely messed up of me not to call this out. About 4 minutes ago, Cassandra literally future, what's it called? Prophesied what you were going to say.
Oh my gosh, no.
I can't believe it. This was right at the beginning of you starting to kind of channel this. And I think at this point, from the voice up is where it really gets interesting. So I just had to put this on and let you know that you and your sister are totally in the same wavelength, same realm right now.
Little sister.
And I would love to keep this up while you now continue.
Yes. So then moving up again, and we're going to keep going up, so we'll learn more about them. And anybody that's not super aware of like the universes within you, this is a good place to start. And please go back to root because it's a very important beginning. But you go to throat, and then you go again to this point, right? This is also feminine. When you truly relax into this, it's dream state. It's just curating this world. And that's why they're like, dreams are so important. What are the messages of the dreams? Because when you go back into imagination, right, you're going right back into the feminine capacity to create new things. And it's trying to teach you, it's trying to allow you to explore what it is you're trying to, as that masculine part that forgotten is in the game, is in the experience, and has all this capacity. And then you go right back up. Okay. This part is what you're downloading when you're trying to figure out what the hell did I just dream? When you're going into imagination, you're back in this creative space. But this is the part that not only can download all the other masculine aspects of self, the God self, the masculine God that's trying to figure it all out and has this capacity. And I like to think of it as like AI. Not like AI, but just like, you remember how like when we start talking to AI and it was like, how can it have that much memory and that much capacity to like figure it all out? Like that is ground so much. It's a good example of what this chakra has the capacity to do when you truly tap into the consciousness that you are connected to in the masculine part, where you then go up and explore and try to figure it all out. And you're the puzzle master. Oh, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do this. And what does this mean? And that is then again masculine. So that whole thing, that's your body that you have to tap into. And the sacral is the base of the creation that then is giving a place for the masculine to create its own reality and learn its own lessons. And mother, the feminine, is right there with it, trying to teach it why it's not a good idea, so that eventually they both ascend to being perfectly in line with, oh, okay, I did forget, but now I trust. Oh, like I tried all these things and I was wrong, so now I believe. And now we can explore without, like, we can dance the dance of life together, masculine and feminine, in a way that you're not commanding, you're not controlling, you're just trusting and flowing with life. That's what we're meant to ascend to. That's what the Hirogamic unit is all about. There's trust between two forces of you, which is that I don't remember and I'm curious and all these things. And then the part that already remembers and knows that this is all an experience and we created it for ourselves, and we knew that this would be the best experience we could ever have, to forget and remember and interact with different parts that doesn't even know yet that we are the same, but from different perspectives. Like there's so much to awake to, and it just gets me so excited to think about it.
Yeah.
Because it was like, 4 years ago that I finally recognized these huge awakening moments that it was like, are you kidding me? But then you have to actually digest it and make sense of it in the very physical form. And that's what I've been trying to do.
Yeah. So powerful though. And I think that does lead us right into the balance conversation that you mentioned that we really want to get to. But interestingly, like even as a human is born, you have literally a triangular shaped opening at the top of your skull. And that's your crown when you crown for the first time and come from your mother. And yes, that hardens over time, but that's the connection point to your sacral, literally, right? You've got this triangular base, open housing for all seed of life within you that pours from all sources, and you are that energy vortex that's constantly cycling things in and out. So stay open. That's what these conversations are for, to keep that vortex that is you open and receiving and giving. And now we get to have that part of the conversation. So very excited to get to it. Arrow, so glad that you're here to join us. Love these golden hearts. Got to put them on the screen because they feel so warm and
love you, sister.
Yeah, so much. So yes, let me get to the first question that we have, and I will put it up on the screen. So yeah, when it comes to sacral, what Alyssa has mentioned is there's so much good, so much feeling, so much endless, boundless life that it can be kind of hard to balance. And so the world tells you, like, give up. There is no way to balance. You either take or you shut it down. And that was the mode that I put myself in for so long.
Yeah,
so
that's the biggest wound of the sacral, is this division of like, it's me or you, it's me versus you, it's jealousy, it's all the parts that say the scale will either be like this or be like this. And depending on what lie you believe, and sometimes it's just the same exact lie, but you want to play a different end of the spectrum, that you're not good enough, you don't deserve. So you try to earn that deserving. And that's what I did. It was, I played the victim role of like, let me prove myself worthy to finally receive. Or you could be like, I am so tired of getting all the shit and being like trying to prove myself. And if it's going to be me or you, then finally it's going to be me. And you finally step up to that higher thing that becomes the more domineering, and like, I'm going to take it before you take it away. I'm going to be the first one to cut the cord, because I'm not going to, and you go onto the other side of the spectrum. It's me or it's you. So it's finally me, or it's always going to be you. Please, like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And be the, that's what it was for so long. Like, I just remember my days. It used to be like all day long, how could I love this person? How could I love them? I'm going to do this for them. I'm going to do that for them. This is what they'll like. Like, my whole existence was about how I can make everybody else feel good. And I thought at the end of the day, as long as they said that I did a good job, then I finally felt good for that brief little moment. And then it was gone. What else do I need to do? What else do I need to do? It never satisfied, because I needed them to say it was good enough in order for me to feel okay, right? Mm-hmm. And then on the other side of that spectrum is all those that are like, I'm done with that game. I'm going to be the one that takes, that holds myself. It's the ego that is like, I'm so much above all this. I'm going to just get it for me, and you better do it, or else there's something wrong with you. And you kind of just raise yourself up above everybody else and expect everybody else to do it. And we're naturally drawn to that. Whoever feels this low and is willing to do all that, we're looking for the person that thinks that they're the shit. Like, they are so cool and they believe in themselves and they're just like not taking anything. That is our attraction point. And that's what I just kept attracting, is the people that went onto the other side of the spectrum that could finally mirror back to me. Do I really deserve it? Do I really? And of course, it's the same exact pattern, and it just goes on endlessly until you be like, what the F am I doing? How could this be right? And then you go back to the very beginning of that started that whole thing and choose something new, because you didn't think that there was another choice. But you have to break on that cycle to finally feel like, I don't want to do it. Like, what else? There's got to be something else. So you start actually looking for something else. And that's what I did. It was like, this can't be right. There's got to be an in-between. Like, how could this be life? Is this or is that? Both of those suck. I'm sorry, but like, if God exists, like, where's the real, like, middle point? Mm-hmm. No one knows that middle point. So I had to discover it myself.
Yeah, and let's get to that in just a moment. But I really appreciate the tension that you're painting a picture of for us. Everyone wants to feel good. There's no question. There's those that are willing to take, and then there's those that are willing to give. And neither of those are in balance. So what is it that brings those two back into balance?
So first of all, it's uncovering the lie. I don't deserve. That I don't deserve, or that I need to do in order to deserve. Your claim, your very claim to that your life purpose is to feel joy, is to pursue that which feels good. Like, that is why you're here. That's the only reason why you're creating that. That is the force of life. If it feels good, of course I want to create it. I want to create more of it. And at some point we're like, I think it would be even cooler than having all the capacity to chase after anything good than I have all the power, is to create another, a partner that I actually don't know exactly, and I can't control them, but it was like, hey, let's find some space between each other that we have to talk, we have to figure it out. So we create the dynamic ourselves. And then once we experience that part of the dream where we actually forget, we're like, oh, and we have to uncover it. we can be very led in ways from our own thought process that's in the field, that, oh, maybe we forgot because we're not good enough. Maybe we could be deleted. And we come up with the greatest fears that humans have experienced. But each of those fears aren't true. They live in the now that we allow to create the fear, right? But in death, we become aware. We become aware that all those things weren't right. And then it's sometimes hard to be like, well, then I don't even know where to go now. Because right now is the time. Not wait till you die and then figure it out. It's right now is a now that exists forever. And we're going to be like going through different phases in different places and seeing different things and different perspectives, but it's always now. So why wait? We lean back into the sacral energy that says we are all things, but we've decided to give ourselves only one, like I'm the whole body, and Alyssa's little pinky is like, I want to become alive. I want to think for myself, and I want to talk to the other fingers. So in this body, I'm a soul that is a part of an oversoul, and that oversoul has an oversoul, and it's like the whole tree of life, and we're just a leaf, each of us a leaf. And if we remember, we're the whole tree, but this tree decided to give all those leaves, these little children, this experience to forget and remember and talk to each other and have the disconnection in order to have family and interesting conversations and dreams that have different perspectives. What does it look like to be you? Because I don't know. And now we have to talk about it. We have to deliberate, like, what should we do? Like, all these things are because we've separated the seed of life, the tree of life, and we are but a leaf experiencing what we are from a perspective. We are the whole tree. And that's what the sacral is trying to teach us and mirror to us and give us life and remind us what it is we're trying to accomplish here. But it's not me and you, it's us, but I'm on this perspective. So let me honor you and honor me and see what it feels like to feel good. But ultimately, we all want to feel good, right? So if I take from you to feel good, a part of me is going to be hurting. That leaf is going to die, and that part that remembers all of it is going to feel like that didn't feel good. So when we finally realize we always deserve to feel good, that's the whole point. So I'm not going to suppress myself. I don't matter less. I matter equally, and everybody else matters too. Then we can find balance finally.
Right.
You, it is us together, and I deserve to feel good, and so do you.
Beautiful. It brings up this topic and idea of suppression. What I want to get to in just a second, but I have to put some thoughts from Cassandra up real quick because it's like life-changing. So I love this sacred conversation is coinciding with me right now in her life, assisting her daughter catching fireflies. And then she says, I'm seeing the symbolism between these creatures that we're interacting with during their mating dance, lighting up in their sacral parts.
That's incredible. I love that.
I think we
have experiencing it in actual nature. That is so cool. I can feel that too.
Yeah, and we got the orange hearts from Arrow earlier. We've got the orange fireflies from Cassandra now.
Orange, but it looks red in the camera.
It's orange. Orange is the sacral color. So It's so cool that we've got so much orange happening right now. So thank you so much for sharing that, Cassandra. And yeah, completely agree. In nature, this hasn't been disordered nearly as much as with humanity. It's naturally going to be what it is, at a much more pure level than when the mind becomes twisted and manipulated. So I think what I'm hearing when it comes to like all these desires that feel so good is the missing link often is that we just suppress. Like relationships, so often people aren't able to connect, but it's because they haven't expressed what feels good and what they want vulnerably. So can you share that suppression part and how that starts and how it accumulates over time?
That's a great question, because truly, like, if you get down to it, we all know we have desires. Like that's like the whole basis of life itself, is that we want to feel good. And the only reason why we go for something that feels bad is because we believe we don't deserve to feel good, until we believe that we'll finally feel good after death. We'll go into heaven. We'll, like, there's this, we have to work so hard that we believe we're not good enough, that we'll actually sacrifice all that feels good in order to keep being the sacrificial lamb in our life to everybody else is supposed to feel good, and maybe eventually we'll get the reward of we're good enough, and then finally we can give a little time and attention and love to ourselves, but only if we deserved it, and only a little bit, and then it goes right back into the same hole of I'm not good enough. So with desire and with connection, it's all about first learning you deserve it. You deserve to feel good. That's the main priority you should have of your life. That should be the driving force, right? I deserve to feel good. What feels good? And cultivating a space that feels the best for you. That doesn't mean do it to the point where it's hurting other people because that's all that matters. No, because they are you too. They also matter. So when you want to feel good, you got to take into consideration me feeling good. Does that hurt another person? Am I involving anybody else? Am I hurting the environment? Am I hurting my space? Am I hurting my body by feeling good? Because all these things matter, right? But we suppress all the desires to feel good because we don't think that they're worthy of being pursued because it's selfish. It's not godly. The Christ consciousness that we think we've been told is like, forget yourself and go to work. Leave yourself behind and step up to serve. That is true love.
Carry your cross. Get on the cross.
True love. True love is I love myself so much and I love you. And how do we blend the two together in order to create something even better than just myself alone? Because that's where we started. We want connection. We want love. And that love is a space between two that was created because we decided to separate and to forget, which was the double layer of like, this would be the best thing possible because we actually have to learn trust. We have to actually consider what would I do if I forgot? And could I be loved through every wrong choice I could possibly make? And love has proven it. You're still alive. And all these terrible things have happened. So it's been proven that love allowed the space and time for you to figure it out, to make every wrong choice, and for love to prove that you would still be allowed to figure it out in time. And with this new earth, it's like, okay, and the clock has gone through and we've gone back to center. And now there's not really a point anymore to allow all the bad things to happen. It's like, nope, just remember back. You have all the information. I already proved it's love, but now it's just going to hurt you because now it's just enabling you to not learn the lesson because you don't want to look back. But if I leave, you'll look back and you'll finally learn, and I'll like leave a trail. And New Earth is saying, come on, join. And there'll be a division. Anyone that doesn't want to join and is not ready to like face every bad decision and love themselves and receive will be separated. And all those that are finally willing to awaken to this higher vibration, them knowing that they are deserving, that they are worthy, and that they belong, will have a community of love and of light and of this newfound freedom and sovereignty and peace that we've all been waiting for, like our whole lives. But yes, as far as the question in balance, and how do we uncover what it means to have ourself and another, to finally find that it doesn't have to be division, there can be balance, is to first uncover you, what it is I truly want, and then be vulnerable to express what it is I truly want, even though it's uncomfortable. And even if they reject it, still stand strong. And well, that's just my truth. I'm sorry that you don't like that I wanted that, but that's true. Like, he was hot. Like, I felt an attraction, and I just want to be honest. I want to be loved. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but I just want to be honest. I want to be seen, and I want to uncover what that means for us. Like, it has to be a space to say, even though it makes other people comfortable, even though this, even though that, I can still speak my truth, and it's worthy to be spoken. There's nothing wrong with what I desire, because what I desire is true. And you kind of set the bar to say, like, as long as I am not acting on it and I can just say it, there's a space for you. Even if it's just you creating it, whether they listen, you got to believe that you deserve that space and that it's worthy to be spoken, it's worthy to be acknowledged, and then to be uncovered, and how you want to act with those passions and the creative force that's driving that to be true.
Yeah, makes so much sense. And it sounds like what you're saying, which this has been a learning curve for me, before you can really connect outwardly, you've got to find those connections within yourself. How true is that what if you're in a relationship but you don't feel like you're connected to your own joy? What could people do if they're in a relationship with someone else but they don't even feel connected to themselves?
It's you. Be willing to speak it. If you don't want to speak it because it's too uncomfortable to speak to your partner, speak it to you. Write it down. Just find a place that you can validate your own truth. Like, I feel hate. I feel like I want to kill him. I feel like I want to finally be done. I feel like I want to have sex with this person. I feel an attraction. Like, if you feel it and you experience it and there's a desire that's there, it's worthy to be spoken. And all of those desires is what we shut down because we have shame and guilt and everything that says you're not allowed to feel those things. But you already did. Guess what? You already did. And by hiding it, you're suppressing it. You're not learning the lesson or activating the creative force that created it for you, because there's a reason behind the desire. And it's always for you. How you use that power is another topic that you got to be careful. But the fact that you feel it, it's you, and it's deserving of your attention. And that's the switch. I deserve to feel what I feel and to express it freely. And if you can't hear it, I can say it anyways. And if I don't want to say it to you, I can say it to myself. So you actually know who you are, what you want, what you feel, and you never get to finally experience that with another person until you're willing to show up as you, to then hear them too, and then find the connecting points where you can support each other. Because you didn't ever know you.
Yeah, you were tipped over, and you've got to be the one to set yourself back up. And that takes practice. That's something I'm still learning. There were some stumbles when I was first learning to express my feelings that ended with red and blue lights around the corner, wondering what I was doing. There can be a lot of difficulty when you're expressing your feelings and you're not used to that. And it's okay. It doesn't have to be pretty. It can be in a car. It can be, in a closet. It could be with a friend. It could be at the end. I don't know. But it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be you. So, Angie, thank you so much for validating that. If you have any further comment on what specifically was resonating when it comes to whatever struck home, we'd love to hear it. But I think that's such a powerful thing that I never really learned until I met you, which was you don't have to find someone. As men, we do have this innate quest. It's the sperm. It's the one who's looking for the home. That's our nature. And that can lead us to think that we don't have what we need inside of us. And it's such a powerful reset to teach us that, yes, you do. You don't have to bank it all on marriage. You don't have to put this woman in that slot and make her your everything, that every good feeling has to come from her. You can find that within yourself. What would you add to that message specifically for men who are trying to learn that lesson within themselves?
Yeah, definitely don't put yourself in a box, because it's like you chose the main thing to be masculine. When you go into a male body, that's like even just like scientific, like there's a little bit more testosterone. There's just enough that says we're going this way or that way, right? But you have that feminine nature in you. You just likely thought it was wrong and bad and not man enough, and it gets beaten out of you. All the feminine parts of you that you're meant to connect to and listen to and work with and create and feel and find, and that is in you. Whatever part of you felt rejected and undefined as an identity you're allowed to pursue, you then try to find that person to fill it for you. But you are in a body that has the feminine nature of the wisdom and the love that is meant to fulfill you. And so you got to activate those chakras, and you got to activate the love that exists inside you and complete the circuit so that you come as a fully embodied masculine feminine that's in orgasmic union with itself. So that when you show up to anybody, no matter who you partner with or who you're around, you are completely a full circuit of an individual blueprint of the universe that's complete. Or else you're just going to keep trying to fill the gaps inside you and be upset when they don't do it.
Yeah.
And it'll be the same story because it's meant to be until you go inward. That's the whole job.
Love it. Thank you so much. That does resonate really deeply. And I think finally, after years of hearing that, I actually believe it. but it takes a lot to convince yourself when those lies are pretty deeply rooted, encased in what feels like metal and bone and stone. It can take a lot to alchemize and move that. So please take the time to let yourself feel through that and just express whatever comes out. We did get a little clarification from Angie that she has struggled feeling like wasn't good enough, constantly under attack, but learned, I think this was the best advice that she also found within herself. We always have the right to speak our truth. So that feels like such an important truth. Anything to add before we move to a little final question that I have for you?
Oh man, we're right at an hour. And did you still want me to read the poem, or do you want
Yeah,
to
that's what I was going to ask. If you feel
okay.
you feel up to it. I didn't get to the even read that you threw this in as a kind of a sacral surprise, which I'm really excited to hear. So would you be willing to continue on with the ending of the poem?
Oh, did I not finish reading it?
No, I mean the second one.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yes, I can read the second one.
Okay,
So this one's a little more personal, very specific. I worked on this with chat to like help put it into a little more clarity, but this is my experience. So this is a little more personal. So we'll just end on it afterward. And you can ask questions later, maybe next time if you have any. Okay. I followed the rules. I silenced my flame. I prayed to be worthy. I carried the shame. But beneath all the striving, a question remained. And that question became the crack in the chain. And when I had given all I could give, broke myself down just to prove I was worthy to live, just to prove I was worthy to breathe and belong, to earn the white dress and to be told I was strong. But one tiny slip was a fall just too great. They branded my soul with a mark I must hate. They said I was ruined, I'd failed the divine, but they told me now you must climb. But the mountain was mine. The stakes were too high, and the balance seemed gone. The math of their mercy no longer felt strong. I made no more sense. Or it may not, but I made no more sense from what I was told. I had nothing to prove. So I called God's bluff. I called God's bluff, and I dared him to move. I rose from the silence, and I let myself cry, and I looked up to the heavens, and I screamed to the sky, if you are the God who is guarding the gate, who measures my worth by the sins on my slate, then strike me or save me. But know that this is true. I am what I am, and I can't bargain with you. I've carried enough, and I won't wear this disguise. If I'm not enough, then cast me aside. But I won't keep striving for mercy. I lose. I lay myself down, and I refuse to prove. And in the soft silence, after I had said it all, and in the silence that followed the fall, I heard something final. I heard something real. I heard something deeper than duty and law. A love I had known before I was told rose up in my being, so soft and so bold. It didn't come loud. It didn't command. It came like a mother who reaches her hand. Her voice was a song that I had buried in fear. And suddenly, fully, I felt her appear. She said, I've loved you forever. No matter the choice, no matter your silence, I live in your voice. I've never condemned you. I've never withdrawn. No matter your pride, I've stayed all along. I am the warmth you were taught to deny. I'm the grace in your belly, the truth in your cry. I am the God that they use. I'm not the God that they use to control. It was a prison of thought, but you've broken the mold. I'm here when you tremble. I'm here when you rise. I'm here in your questions, your rage, and your tries. You don't have to earn me. I've always been near. Just ask and I'll answer. I've always been here. You're home now, my darling. This journey is done. You've crossed through the dark and you've awakened the sun. Reborn from the silence, reborn from the flame, reborn from the ache that once carried your name, reborn from the weight that once dimmed your light, and a brighter becoming begins here tonight. Your desire was never your shame. It was your guide, dear daughter, a flame to create, not a fire to hide. It lives in your belly, it hums in your skin. The pulse of becoming that stirs you within. You'll stumble, you'll stretch, you'll reach and you'll fall. Balance is sacred. So is it all. Mistakes are not curses. They're teachers in disguise. Each one holds a mirror, each one makes you wise. So trust what you want, let it lead you with grace. Desire is a compass, it knows your place. But listen, beloved, as you move towards another, your waves touch the shoreline of a sister and brother. Not to silence your joy, but to make it more true, to honor the God in them just as in you. This is a dance, not shrinking, but care, a joy that is honest and aware it is shared. Go now in freedom, go now in flame. You know who you are, you remember your name. You are not danger, you are not wrong, you are the river, the root, and the song.
All of you who house that new earth within you, that message for Alyssa, it's the home for me and 5 other boys. We're all her children. We honor you. We're so glad that you're willing to house so much pain and change so much of the story for us to live in today. Thank you for sharing that.
God, it resonated.
So deep. Thank you all for joining our conversation tonight.
Yes, thank you so much.
May your sacral become a bright orange light. We hope to see you next week for the next chakra.
Solar. Yes, excited for that.
Until then, have a great night, a great week. We love you all, and we'll see you soon.